Good day, ladies and gentlemen. It is a pleasant episode. It is the 5th edition of the National Speak and Serve Initiative debate competition, running under the theme Nurturing Ideas for a Healthier Society. Through debate, it is all systems go. It is the semi-finals, and many thanks to our supporting partners, which is the Swedish Embassy in Zimbabwe. So right now, at first, just want to appreciate our lovely adjudicators that have got the toughest job, which is making the decisions, to define the decision making. And also many thanks to our sign language professional. Ma'am is doing quite an excellent job. Without wasting any time, it is the semi-finals, and first of all, just like to congratulate everyone who has just made it. Congratulations, guys. All right, so the institutes that I have right here with me, to my far right, we've got Great Zimbabwe University, we've got Chinhoyi University of Technology, Women's University of Africa, and Gweru Polytechnic. Without wasting any time, all I can say is that let the games begin. With this motion, first of all, just have to give you some information about the motion. So, drug resistance refers to a state where medicines such as antibiotics lose their effectiveness in treating a disease or a condition. In relation to tuberculosis, or drug resistance may be caused by a variety of factors such as poor adherence to prescriptions, being given the wrong prescription, etc., etc. Drug resistance, TB, have evolved to a point whereby some infections are extensively drug resistant, meaning the most potent TB drugs fail to be effective. Now, I'm about to say the motion. With the motion, assuming a world where people become infected by a strain of TB that cannot be treated with any available antibiotics, this House will forcefully isolate those individuals until a cure is developed. I'll repeat once again. Assuming a world where people become infected by a strain of TB that cannot be treated with any available antibiotics, this House will forcefully isolate those individuals until a cure is developed. Without wasting any time, we'll call upon the Prime Minister to come forward.
In a world where we have been ravaged with many plagues which have been existential from history, the likes of bubonic plague, the likes of the Spanish flu, which claimed millions of lives within our communities. This is the world where we believe that the government has a mandate to ensure the safety of its people at the end of the day. So with this House forcefully isolating the individuals until a cure is developed, we have to understand the factor of forceful isolation. And from our side of the House, we believe that forceful isolation in medical terms is isolation which is used for someone who has infectious conditions that could be passed on to others. But we believe that yes, people are social animals. People still want to interact with others within the outworld. But we believe that by forceful isolation, as the government of Zimbabwe, we are going to ensure that the forceful isolation is either within a medical facility or in your own home. But if you are to breach this forceful isolation which has been put in place, there will be repercussions which will follow at the end of the day. So why are we trying to forcefully isolate people because of until we develop a cure? So first off, this is where we are saying that we have already seen the ripple effect of how this variant, this these type of diseases spread. They spread through contact. We understand that at the end of the day, it is of the essence of the government to mandate itself to say, okay, fine, we have seen this happen from the history. How best can we now solve a solution where we are already saying there is no cure? The most potent drugs which are existential, which have been used to cure this disease, the likes of TB, are being not as good as they were before. So we believe that at the end of the day, we have to come up with a solution. But before we get the solution, we have to prevent the spread of this TB. We have to understand that there are two types of TB within this debate which are actually resistant to drugs. There is the mono-drug resistance, which is the MDR, and then there is the XDR with the poly-drug resistance. Within this instance, we are talking of those poly-drug resistance where we are saying that, okay, fine, we have tried all 4 drugs which are there for TB, and then nothing is working. So what is the best solution? Let us isolate these people and make sure that there are no deaths which are going to arise simply because we were not in power at the end of the day. So we believe that within the state of the government, we are trying to practice what we call loco parentis, ensuring that there is utility. Utility is just something which is going to make sure that it is of the best interest of the whole society at the end of the day. We understand that forceful isolation, it may be stringent as they might try to come up with within this debate. But we tell you that now we understand that there is a social campus which we also have to look into at the end of the day. And by the social campus, this is where we are saying, fine, how are we going to forcefully isolate these people? So we are going to ensure that there will be health practitioners who will be keeping tabs on these people who are already sick within this society, and make sure that when they are isolated, these health practitioners know how to handle such scenarios where people are sick with this TB. So we are saying that, okay, fine, by forcefully isolating, we will give you a choice. It's either you are in a hospital or you are in your home. But if you are in your home, if you breach that isolation, it will now attract repercussions at the end of the day, which will be criminal at the end of the day, because we believe that you are actually an instrument of destruction if you are now in a full acknowledgement of the situation that you are in, the situation that you actually know that you are actually a carrier of a drug-resistant TB. And what we want is the best interest, and not to ensure, and we want to ensure the life of people to be safe, because we have seen how it has worked with COVID. We can also do the same with TB until we find a cure. So this is our stance as the opening government, and with this, I've never been proud to propose. Thank you.
Many thanks to the Prime Minister representing Gweru Polytechnic. Leader of opposition, you can make your way here.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm the leader of opposition in full disagreement with the notion in motion stating, assuming a world where people become infected by a strain of TB that cannot be treated with any available antibiotics, this house will forcefully isolate those individuals until a cure is developed. Now, I am here to rebut the case of the leader of government, who is the Prime Minister, and also I shall introduce the opposition arguments after the rebuttals. Now, as for my rebuttals, the leader of our government, who is the Prime Minister, came to this podium and spoke on something to do with isolation to prevent our cure. Now, our problem as the opposition with this point is that they are giving a solution to the problem that the topic is not suggesting. We are trying to fight TB. TB is the problem here, and we have to find the solution to fight TB. That is our major problem. They are fighting another problem, which is spread of TB, which is not what the topic is suggesting. We as the opposition stand firm in support of decline. We as the opposition stand firm in support of finding a solution to solve the problem, which is TB in this case. He also came and spoke about he also mentioned about ensuring that health practitioners keep tabs on sick people. Now, this is a global phenomenon. TB is a global phenomenon. Anyone can contact this TB. How is it practical for health practitioners to keep tabs on everyone that can get this TB? Anyone can get it anywhere in the world. This is really impractical, and we shall not support this point. They also say that declined. They also say that we have seen how it worked with COVID, but according to what we know and according to the reports that were made in the news, people were forced to take the COVID vaccine by being threatened that they will lose their jobs. But what happened is people made a way, made a loophole to buy COVID vaccinations verification cards, and this shows that forceful vaccination or forceful anything does not work. Now, accepted.
How would you have preferred they deal with COVID?
They should have dealt with the problem. COVID, the problem is COVID, and the first point of call is looking for the vaccination of COVID, not the, solving the threat of the spread of COVID. That is what we're advocating for. Now, as to our arguments as the opposition. Now, the most important issue in this debate is how I have been suggesting. The problem is drug-resistant COVID, drug-resistant TB. Apologies, drug-resistant TB. What is the solution? The solution is solving this drug-resistant TB, which is finding the cure for drug-resistant TB. This is the first point of call declined. This is the first point of call. Now, there is a problem, and we need a permanent solution. The permanent solution is solving this problem, which is finding the cure. It's not isolation, and if government really wanted to protect people, they wouldn't use force actually, but they would look for the cure. Now, our last and second point is that cohesion breeds rebellion. We've seen with the case with COVID, people were forced to take to isolate. People were forced to take the COVID vaccination, but people do not do that. People rebel when they are forced to do things. They found loopholes and they bought a fake COVID vaccination card. Till today, we have people that haven't been clearly vaccinated, and our statistics show wrong figures of vaccination. And they also there are also reports in the news that actually health practitioners were caught selling these cards, and this is fact. So we need to fight the problem. The problem is TB, and the solution is cure, not isolation. Isolation is a solution for another problem, which is non-existent in this debate. And as the opposition, we stand firm in argumentation. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was the leader of opposition representing Chinhoyi University of Technology. Now it is time for the Deputy Prime Minister.
Panel, we have to understand that here, this disease, which is TB, that is now resistant, does not have a cure yet. So then the opposition came and said that we are fighting the spread of TB rather than focusing on the problem here. But we are stating that we do not have a cure yet. That is the reason why we are suggesting for forceful isolation until a vaccine which can permanently cure this resistant TB is developed. So it is crucial for the health system to then isolate those people so that the spread does not go further in a country or when anyway it is. Then isolation helped in COVID-19 compared to the time when swine flu occurred. So this is the reason why we now have taken the mandatory to then forcefully isolate these people so that so that it does not spread further. Also, my Prime Minister came here and told you that we are trying to curb the spread of this disease, meaning that if this disease is allowed to spread further, we are going to incur expenses as a country or as a nation, whereby we now have to have a lot of isolation centers for other people, where then there have to be a lot of people where it will be expensive, where now we have got a lot of people in our country whom are sick. So this is the reason why we are saying that forceful isolation is required. Then we come and tell you that when are we going to implement this forceful isolation? We are going to implement this forceful isolation as soon as a patient is tagged as a victim of this resistant TB. Why? Because we are trying to reduce the spread of this. And how are we going to do this? My Prime Minister also told you that we are going to either have these people at the comfort of their home or at the medical facilities for those whom cannot be isolated at homes. Then obviously someone would say that it would infringe on the rights of these people, but we are saying that at the comfort of their homes, it is where they will have all the luxuries, so there will be not any right infringed on them. By isolation, it will help. It will also help scientists to develop and to also keep monitoring these people, as they would have to keep on trying on developing a cure that have to be used to save human life in the context of right to life. Hence, the government would have to act in the local parentis. Taken.
Ms. Speaker, ma'am, can you please elaborate on whether isolation is the permanent solution to TB, which is the problem in this debate?
Okay, as I have mentioned before, I said that since now we have this TB as a problem and it is resistant, yes, we do know that TB has got other 4 cures when it is not resistant. But in this case, this TB is now resistant. This is the reason why we are saying that for the meantime, since we do not have a cure, we have to isolate these people so that we curb the spread of this disease, so that it does not go to the next person and affect the other individuals. Answered?
No.
Okay, so then we also tell you that so we have the MDR and the XDR, but since then this has not been effective enough to cure this.
Time's up. Thank you so much, ma'am. Now it is time for the deputy leader of the opposition.
Compliments of the day to you all. I am the deputy leader of the opposition, here to defend, rebut, and give you new arguments, and also about the motion in notion. Forceful isolation shouldn't be the center of attention, but rather development of the cure. Unlike COVID-19, tuberculosis is not only spread by air, it's not only an airborne infectious disease. Tuberculosis can be spread by excessive smoking, that is substance abuse. Tuberculosis can be spread through someone can have tuberculosis through kidney diseases, or someone can gain tuberculosis through an organ transplant. Thus, the argument of the government is totally invalid.
Point of information.
Unlike COVID-19, air transmission is not only the cause of effect of having tuberculosis. Now, ladies and gentlemen, if we want to solve the problem at hand, forceful isolation is not the way to go. Rather, there are better things like campaigns on people to stop drug abuse. There are other things. Tuberculosis is not like COVID-19. Ladies and gentlemen, forceful isolation have many negative impacts. For example, mental health. If someone is forced into doing something that he or she was not up to, he or her might end up having depression. Depression can lead to death. He or her might end up having anxiety issues. These are all consequences of forcefully isolating individuals.
Point of information.
Point of information denied. Ladies and gentlemen, TB, unlike other diseases, does not go away. It stays in the body. TB, even if it does go away for a little while, it is a recurrent disease that will constantly recurrent if someone has the condition. So ladies and gentlemen, think about this. If we adopt forceful isolation, for how long? We are assuming a world where there is no cure. So are we saying that we are going to be putting these individuals into isolation for 30 years, for 50 years, or for a lifetime? Point of information taken.
Okay, so what is your counter policy to this, other than isolation? What else, if this cure is not going to be there as well, as you are saying?
Thank you. Like I said, I'm really glad he asked that question. Tuberculosis is not only caused by airborne infections, but it's also caused by excessive smoking, kidney transfer, and organ transplantation. So our remedy is that gain campaigns, do campaigns to stop drug abuse, do other ways that can help the nation to stop the spread or to stop the infection of TB, and use your attention or divert your attention more to the to produce a cure for TB, more than using your resources and all your energy in trying to isolate infected individuals, which is just a fraction of the cause of the tuberculosis. Use that attention to actually develop a cure. What we are saying as the opposition side is, The main center of attention here should be the development of a cure to stop tuberculosis, not just isolating infectious diseases, because like I already stated, they are not the main focus, and tuberculosis is not centered around air infections or airborne infections. With this, I would like to say that us as the opposition team strongly stand against the emotion that isolation or forceful isolation is the way that we should go.
Thank you so much, Deputy Leader of Opposition representing Chinhoyi University of Technology. So that's all we had for you for the opening government and the opening opposition. So please do make sure that you engage with us. It's hashtag SASI debate, hashtag debate for health. Be able to also tell us about the teams that you think are going to make it to the finale. Yes, to the national final, to the finals, in the finals. Right here on the national debate competition. So all you gotta do is stay tuned, because we've got more, as we've got closing government and closing opposition with Gweru, with Women's University of Africa and Great Zimbabwe University. So all you gotta do is stay tuned. Welcome back to the Say What SASI debate competition. Many thanks to our supporting partner, the Swedish Embassy in Zimbabwe. So right now, we're about to have the closing government and the closing opposition have their arguments. So with the honors, give the honors to the leader of my apologies for that. For the member of government, you can come forward, please.
I'm going to do three things. One, tell you why the government has the right to do this. Two, show you through our analytical extensions how our model works. And three, show you the impact of what happens if we don't. First of all, everyone has the right to freedom, but everyone has the right to life. We take away a human right when you infringe on the rights of others. By allowing yourself to potentially spread tuberculosis, which is a killer disease, to other people, you indirectly infringe on the right to life for multiple human beings. Therefore, we believe we have the right to take away your right to freedom to protect the right to life. Why? Statistically speaking, airborne diseases, this is an airborne disease. They spread exponentially, meaning from 10 people it goes to 100, from 100 to 1,000, from 1,000 to 10,000, meaning we cannot control its rate of exploration, meaning that the impact and the damage that is potential is greater and more harmful than the individual right to freedom. At the end of the day, we value life more than freedom. Now, why does our model work? We already had a systematic shock when we dealt with COVID-19, so we built technological infrastructure to ensure that people can work mobilely. For education, you can read books, there are radio programs, television programs, materials sent on WhatsApp, and e-learning platforms to ensure that even from home, you can still get access to education. Similarly, with employment, we have technologies, computers, different ways of allowing you to work from home. And we can still have employment benefits dependent on what the government can afford at that point in time, so you're still sustainable as an individual within the comfort of your home where you'll be self-isolating. Three, even for spirituality, we have TV, radio programs that have been created in order to reach out to people. Yes.
Sir, how is isolation supposed to solve TB that is caused by excessive smoking?
Okay, now to address your perspective on the idea of where we should focus. Panel, they are not mutually exclusive. We can look for a cure and at the same time isolate people to prevent it from spreading. Now, onto the third point, what's the impact if we don't isolate? As I mentioned, the spread of airborne diseases is exponential, from 10 to 100 to 1,000 to 10,000. Now, how can we focus our energy and resources on finding a cure when we're too busy trying to deal with the overloaded hospitals that currently are already under-efficient in terms of service delivery, and now, yesterday you had 100 patients, now you have 1,000 patients. Who exactly is going to still be employed enough to be finding a cure, to be doing the scientific discoveries in order to help people recover from this disease? And when I speak of cure, obviously many diseases are incurable, but we mean a level of treatment by which we can prevent the TB from being spread, because you can be an active agent who can spread the disease, but you can also have TB and not be able to spread it. Final attempt.
Okay. Does isolation cure TB, and if it doesn't, how is it your main solution?
The goal of isolation is not to cure TB, it's to prevent it from spreading, otherwise we'll overwhelm health facilities, which means we won't have enough resources to dedicate to actually finding the cure. So we all want to find a cure. We're trying to find a cure, but we will not find a cure if we're too busy spending resources dealing with sick patients because you allowed them to leave their houses and spread TB to everyone else, as happened with COVID. When COVID happened, we said, nope, we want our freedom, we want our liberty. We don't think isolating us will solve the problem. Anyways, we don't even think it's that dangerous. What happened? countries ran out of places to bury their loved ones because everyone has the selfish ideology that it's not real until it happens to them or it happens to someone they love. And that deals with your point on the idea of people will fight back against this. People will not fight back against this because COVID was painful. COVID hurt us. It hurt us economically with the second greatest economic meltdown the world has experienced. It hurt us emotionally when our close relatives, loved ones died, when we had to pay expensive fees for oxygen masks because we let it get to that point. What we are saying is, let's not let it get that far. We need to contain it, control it with a model, as I've proven, works due to the technological advancements and infrastructure we created in reaction to COVID. So we already have the infrastructure, now we're just utilizing it. Note that that is the unique analytical extension on the model that you get from closing government. I also showed you the impact of what happens when we don't initiate this and how it strains all the other policies aimed at attempting to solve the problem, another unique extension from us. And I've also spoken about the rate of spread, and with all these, I believe closing government should win this debate.
Thank you so much. That was the member of government representing Women's University of Africa. Coming forward is the member of opposition.
In extension to the points raised by our opening opposition, the main objective for this debate is to determine the necessity of isolating people and affected by TB in the event that antibiotics have. Our main argument is to assess why people would be forcefully isolated. Is it necessary? And are we saying necessary in? Sorry, are we saying? Is it necessary? Are we evaluating if forcibility in isolating them is only means of getting the desired outcome? With this reason, it's that I've declared close to 150 million years that TB has been existent in the face of time, and yet we've still not declared it a world pandemic. It means it can be contained, as the test of time has proven. Secondly, humans are interactive beings. Behavioral scientists have proved that patients actually become worse if they're kept isolated. And with this, I say, there's no difference between an isolated patient and a prisoner in death row because they all know their outcome.
Point.
Not taken. And in this subject, I would actually just, sorry. And this would subject them to degrading treatments because they have the right to dignity. And now, on my solutions. We want to strike a balance between the public health interest and the individual rights. And with this is, individual rights are more important than the balance of what societal norms are being taken into account in this action. We do not deny isolation could be a solution, but forceful isolation, on the other hand, is the problem at hand. People should be able to make choices about their personal health situations. Yes, TB is being passed through. It's not being passed through coughing directly, but in the sense of smoking, then how can I even pass it through to the next person if it's not the only means of actually passing it? Education is actually a solution. So let's educate people about the disease and actually stop them from these instances like, not yet. And actually let's stop them from actually smoking so that they do not contain such a virus in future. Lastly, let's actually invest in our research. So in this solution, I mean that let's always have a standing solution, antibiotic that can actually, so would have first option and option B. That way we can always pass the test of time. 150 million years and still TB is not a pandemic. May I please address your POI?
Okay, so now we have already addressed the issue that there are already 4 potent TB drugs which are there, and they are no longer working on this drug resistant, which is poly drug resistant, not mono. Please tell us the solution which you have, since we don't already have the cure of this XDR.
In the 150 million years, there was no medicine, and yet the immune system of individuals actually still kept it going. Thank you. All right, I'm done.
Thank you. That was the member of opposition representing Great Zimbabwe University. Now it's time for the whips, and we'll start with the government whip.
We are going to place people under mandatory isolation until we find a cure. Because after the cost-benefit analysis, we have arrived at this decision because the benefit outweighs the cost. It goes without saying that it is the confidence of every Zimbabwean that whatever decision the government engage in should do more harm than good. And that the government will meet and exceed the expectation of every citizen when it comes to issues related to health. I'm going to run this as usual by the mantra of the Red Cross Nurse Aid, which include to save life, to prolong life, to ensure safety, to alleviate pain. Isolation saves life because TB by nature is highly contagious and it is an airborne disease, quite different to the other normal diseases.
Point of information.
Yes.
Ma'am, you talked about saving life. Are you aware that isolation leads to depression that can actually lead to suicide? Are you saying that people that die because of depression, their lives are not accountable?
No, I think I've just mentioned the fact that we did a cost-benefit analysis, and the benefits of isolation actually outweighs the cost of not isolating this individual. So I believe that we should isolate all the TB patients to ensure safety, to alleviate pain. I'm sure most of us have been directly or indirectly affected by TB. So I believe in the mantra of the Nurse Aid, which is to alleviate pain and to prolong life. That's the only way we can prolong life. So opposition spoke about rebellion. We will deal with rebellion because we have dealt with the rebellion before, and most people will comply because I'm sure by now everyone knows how deadly a contagious disease can get. This is after, I think most of us, we know because we are post the COVID era. Hospitalization can be expensive, and most people would actually want to isolate at home. They can actually heal faster because they will be in their comfort of their home, where they will get tender love and care, which is vital for quick recovery. According to Maslow, the social needs, or the social and the self-belonging, the self-esteem and the belonging needs are central to in ensuring that an individual is happy and content. And I'm saying isolation, in a way, would make sure that our patients are happy, and that would speed up their recovery rather than keeping them in the hospital or someone else. So I believe in self-isolation.
Point of information.
Let's look at the means to the end. We should not just be concerned with the end. We should look at the means to an end. And in this situation, we are talking about forceful isolation as a means because that's the only option that we have.
Ma'am, are you aware that isolation means that even if someone is isolated at home, she or she cannot have interaction with the family?
Yes, she cannot have interaction with the family, but the fact that this person is within the environment that they are fully aware of, within their normal settings, I'm sure the person will recover quickly. And yeah, that in a way that will reduce the TB-related infections popping up. So by virtue of the nature of the TB disease, as I said earlier on, TB is highly contagious. It's a deadly disease, and it can also, in a way, it can also be equated to coronavirus. And we have done this before with coronavirus, and it worked. So I believe we can do the same with TB. Thereby ensuring that we reduce the number of infections, because the increase of number of infections can be deadly.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Now it is time for the opposition whip.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to engage on what the government has said and also summarize the debate. Now, the opening government showed us that they would use their discretionary powers to forcibly isolate people because they have the mandate. But they also have the mandate to recognize the rights and interests of their subject. And forcing people is forcing them, even if it is done in their homes, even if it is done in the bush, even if it is done in the hospital, it is forcing. And this is what we are against. Government authority must not overpower public interest. And this is a problem that I saw with both the opening government and the closing government. As the closing government shows us that they have the power to control the execution of rights, to decide for us if my right for freedom is more important than their interest. Forcing is forcing, even with TVs. We do not want TVs, we do not want computers, we do not want entertainers. We just don't want you to force us. Their main focus was on isolation, was just on isolation, not on the fact that it is forcible isolation as per the debate motion. And there was, I'll come back to you, and there was a lot of comparison to COVID, which, mind you, COVID was declared a global pandemic within a few months of existence. And tuberculosis is literally an ancestor of all diseases, but we still have it, containing it, despite its years of existence. Government authority should not overpower public interest, because at the end of the day, we elected you.
Point of information.
I'll take you later. Me and my co-speaker summarized and weighed the necessity of doing this on a balance of necessity, whereby we are saying, is there no other less detrimental means of achieving the desired outcome than forcing people to isolation? Because we have the respect for humans and their rights. It can be contained, and it is not that deadly because it has been existing for years and we have been managing to contain it. That is why we provided you with solutions such as research, so that we come up with a solution that is on standby in case we come across a situation whereby all medication has become unreliable to solve TB as a problem.
Point.
Yes, taken.
What's more important, the right to life or the right to freedom?
I do not see why we need to compare fundamental rights in this case, because we are focusing on TB as a problem and comparing fundamental rights. Fundamental means important, and they're both important in their own ways. No one should have or use their discretionary powers to tell me what right I should deem important, because if the right of freedom is important to me and to you is the right to life, that's a subjective debate that we will do later.
Point of information.
I will not take more POIs. We say that it is detrimental, again, to isolate people because it leads to a mental health problem, and it attracts a plethora of issues, ladies and gentlemen, and at the end of the day, what is going to kill people are thoughts and not TB itself. We deserve to win this debate because we did show that on a balance of necessity, really it is not necessary to frog march people to isolation centers or to homes as they were claiming, but we don't know where the rest of the families will go because isolation means no contact at all. We also showed, we gave you solutions that there are less detrimental means of achieving the desired outcome than forcing people to get isolated, because at the end, they're human, they're consenting adults, most of them, and they have the right to decide what they want pertaining their health and their life. With this, the debate was over yesterday.
The debate was over yesterday. Those were the last words by the opposition whipping. All right. So please, you can actually have we're going to have an interaction. You can go to our Facebook page, which is Say What. Instagram, it is Say What Zimbabwe. And Twitter, it is Say What Org. And you can also go to our website, which is saywhatorg.co.zw. There are quite a lot of stuff over there. And also, you can be a member of different clubs. You can also, if you're a guy, you can be part of the Mugota or Inkliba, which is a young men's forum. You can, the ladies, if you want to have an interaction about all lady things, maybe problems that you think other ladies can be able to understand, you can also be able to join the Verb for Life network. So right now the atmosphere was a bit tense. Yes, it was a bit tense. It was hostile. There was some hostility. But anyways, in the next segment, it's about, we're about to loosen up. So stay tuned as we wait for the adjudicators to deliberate on the results. So stay tuned. It is hashtag SASI debate.
Yeehaw! Yeehaw!
All right, welcome back. It is the third segment where whilst we're going to be waiting for the results, we're just going to be having a little fun with the people that I'm having here. But I'm sure you can see there's something different. They're looking dapper, they're looking good. Can you just smile? You know, you're looking good, huh? Look at them, look at them. Gweru Polytechnic, you're looking good, people, but you're not really that energetic. Did the competition exhaust you that much?
Tense.
It is that tense. All right. So we're just gonna play a little game. It's about how well we know our partners. I'm sure almost.
Game?
Yes. We just want to see something else from you. So I think right now I will just have to swap the partners. But whilst you be exchanging, I'm sure the camera would like to see how lovely you're looking. So, Tari.
Yes.
Can you move over there?
To the Terminator.
Yes, you can move to the Terminator. Balloon. Okay, all right.
Yeah, color to my left.
Mr. Arthur, can you exchange with Mr. Panache? Yes. They're looking dapper. All right. So the questions are basically simple. We just want to know how well do you know your partner, right? Do you really know your partners?
No, it's just business.
It's just business. For her, it's just business. All right. So the first question goes like this. What's your partner's favorite movie? What's your partner's favorite movie? You can say it can be a movie or a series, but there's always that kind of a movie or series that anyone always keep mentioning. So I'll give you 10 seconds. So for those watching, please get, if you know someone, or you might be someone that might have actually encountered sexual abuse or sexual harassment, please do get in touch with us on our toll-free number, whereby there are our counselors that can actually have a conversation with you that's confidential. Our toll-free number is 577. And if you might think that maybe, there are some signs or symptoms, you might think about the fact that you might have an STD or an STI. And yes, for most, it's not easy to actually come out in the public or go to public hospitals or that stuff like that. You can also, you can call 577. It's that simple. You'll be receiving a voucher whereby you can get free treatment. Okay, my people, are you ready? Mr. Arthur.
Yes.
I want to know the favorite movie that you think, favorite movie or series that you think your partner,
I'm
loves.
sure she loves Kissing Booth, all three.
Who's doing that with the papers?
Can we continue? All right, Mr. Arthur, yes. Can you tell me what's your partner's favorite movie?
I'm quite sure that she loves Kissing Booth, all three.
Kissing Booth. Kissing Booth. Is that true?
No.
Because it's kissing.
No.
Why?
I'm a Korean kind of guy. I'm obsessed with Koreans. I'm not really into Americans.
You like Korean?
Yeah.
Which one is your favorite?
Of course, Boys Over Flowers.
Say one Korean word.
안녕하세요.
What does that mean?
It means hello.
안녕하세요. Is that
안녕하세요.
All right, so it is now time for the announcement of the results. So, at fourth place, it is Chinhoyi University of Technology. Third place is Great Zimbabwe University. Great Zimbabwe University. At the first place for this episode, it is the semi-finals part 1. The winners for this episode are Women's University of Africa. Women's University of Africa. Let's give them a round of applause. All right, so it has been a pleasure, and yes, the heat is rising. So until we meet again on the semi-finals part 2, from me, Tatenda Prince Chitenene, and us, Say What. Thank you so much for joining us, and goodbye.
Even Mandela had a dream. EMP is a dream. You better get up and work, work, work on your dream. Work, work, work on that dream. Work, work, work on that dream. Work, work, work on that dream.
I got a dream. When you know you have a dream.
Work, work, work.
I got a dream. When you know you have a dream.